is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
How are we doing out there? Not Nick Kypreos. I don't know if you can tell. I am a little different. Did not play in the National Hockey League. I am Brent Gunning. Of course, you are Justin
And who
Bourne.
else?
Hello.
Your name's on the show. Yeah, and who else? Exactly. Thank you, Kipper, for jumping in my ear there. Borny, good to be back together. We had a little dalliance last summer. Talking Jays. We won't be doing that today. We are going to talk other things.
Yeah.
World Cup and, the Leafs, Auston Matthews hitting 50. How you doing, Borny?
I'm doing well. We appreciate you joining us today. You could have gone by the fake Kipper.
I did think about going with I am not the real Kipper, but I am the very fraudulent Brent Gunning. I thought about that as the opener, but I'm like, I want to give myself a little better of a lead in than that.
Fraudulent's not fair. And for those who don't know, Gunner does a wonderful job hosting our pre and post Leafs coverage. Really have enjoyed you and Gord's work this year.
Gunner did a 20-minute post-game solo pod after the Toronto Maple Leafs lost to the Montreal Canadiens on Saturday night. 20 minutes by himself yelling about the Leafs.
Yeah.
Unhinged.
Were you upset?
The Colin Cowherd of Toronto Maple Leafs, just unhinged.
Like, you know what it's a lot like? It's when you're going grocery shopping and the whole Cowherd thing. I did. I went 20 minutes. It was the perfect look. I'm not going to say a Leafs loss is ever the perfect game because I am who I am. The perfect Leafs game is a Leafs win. But it was the perfect game for me to go solo because the Leafs pummel Montreal. Shots. The goaltending is what it is. And then I get to be work myself up into a nice lather in my basement by myself. It was lovely.
I feel good that, Sammy gets to be... Would you say you're a bigger Leafs fan than Sam?
I would say, it's funny, I'm listening to the show all the time, and it's Kipper, a super fan, Sammy, and I'm thinking... Well, but that's the guy I go to talk me back to realism here is Sam McKee.
He's your
the one
measured
telling
takes
me.
guy.
Yeah, he's like, hey, calm down. Michael Bunting's not Wayne Gretzky. He's pretty good.
This may not be the day for it, but there is something to be said for the different types of fandom and measuring who is bigger fans. I think we're very similar. We just consume it in different ways.
Yeah.
We just have a different feel about the team. We have different. There's a think piece out there about political views and how you watch the Leafs and everything and how you like Kyle Dubas. There's a whole think piece that I'm not willing to write. Maybe you can, Bourne. You're the smart writer guy. No, you're not going to go with that one?
I don't think, well, you know what? It's not a bad topic because the Dubas thing is very polarizing.
It is.
You're either for or against him. And if you're against, you think he's a nerd, dork, non-hockey guy. It's funny, though. You have... I don't want to say aligned, but you like Kyle Dubas.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when something goes wrong with a Leafs player, your buddies will text you and be like, way to go, Dubas.
It is the single thing that you cannot untether yourself from. As a Dubas guy, as somebody who said, I like that hire. I think that's going to work out okay. Dare I say, I think they picked the right GM when they went in the two opposite directions with Lou. Once, whatever road you walk down in that moment, there's no bridges, there's no paths to cross back. It's like if you're a Lou guy, you were branded a Lou guy, and if you're a Dubas guy, branded a Dubas guy, and here I am.
So I put in our YouTube chat before it started that Kipper was away today. Yeah. I was just like, be nice to Gunner, ha ha ha. Everybody's saying Gunner looks so good on YouTube, which he does.
Yeah.
It looks very good.
Thank you.
And a lot of people said that they thought it was a April Fool's joke. Because it is April 1st, and everyone is accusing me of it being an April Fool's joke, and I would have done the very thing I hate the most. And that's make a horrible April Fool's joke that April Fools in the social media era has completely jumped the shark, fellas. It's just every company looking to get their licks in with some stupid joke that no one likes. I hate it. I hate it. Oh, whatever. Yeah. Oh, the Sportsnet with the Nordiques. Yeah, good one, guys. You got everybody. I don't know. It's just, do we need to do this? I'm very sensitive. My mom was very hard on me with April Fools when I was a kid.
So that's the part that stuck out to me most. First of all,
I saw that as well.
I disagree that it's jumped the shark because it was never any good. Having people who you love lie to you for a day is not it's not a good. I would argue there is a case to be made that it's the worst day of the year.
It is.
You can't trust anything. But you say your mom was hard on you with April Fools. She committed to bits?
Yeah. There's one that it's Leafs aligned, so it's actually a perfect one to say.
You knew it would be.
But one year, she's got a lot of really bad ones in the arsenal that I'm not even going to bring up that have really got me. Yeah. But she one time told me that we had Leafs tickets when I was a kid. We were in Toronto. And I don't know, I was like 10, 11.
is-
We had Leafs tickets. Oh, it's like we're going to go to the Leafs game. I was, oh my God, we're going to the Leafs. They're playing the Capitals. Oh my God. And I'm watching the score or sport, whatever it was at that time, and it comes up on the ticker, Toronto at Washington. And I'm 10 years old. I was like, wait a second. And I just burst out crying. Never been so mad. So
But
my
that's
mom was
not funny.
No, I know it's not funny, and that's why I hate April Fools. I've been broken by it.
Just joking. Your family member's not terminally ill.
Yeah.
April Fools.
Well,
Like,
so-
wait.
Well, here's the thing, though. At least if you go with bad news and then you pull the rug out of April Fools,
Yes.
at least it's like, okay, we didn't need to do that, but I'm no worse for wear.
Devastating.
McKee, I
Yeah.
can feel the scars in your voice.
Yeah.
You got
I mean,
scars on your larynx there.
There was
telling that story.
there was a late life one where my mom told me she was pregnant. She gets pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie, Marianna Halton gets really wild at April Fools.
Is it Marianne? Is that what you
Yes,
said?
yeah.
Stay away from Marianne on
Yeah.
April 1st.
Yeah. She sent one to a group chat today. We'll
right.
plow ahead, boys.
Plow
Anybody?
on.
Did anyone bite?
No.
No. Okay, there we go. I like
You know,
to see it.
here's another good April Fool's joke. Canada people pretending that Canada didn't get a hard draw in the World Cup.
Yeah, I know. You know, I walked in here and said to Will Lou, like, tough draw. And he was like, it's World Cup. Like, everyone's good. And it's like, right. But, like, Belgium's the number two good.
Ranked. They're number 2 ranked in the world. Yeah, he's going to try. Everyone's trying to convince us.
Croatia's pretty darn good.
Listen, last thing before we get to hockey. Everybody's trying to convince themselves. I appreciate it. You want to be hopeful. It's like saying, here's a hockey parallel. Oh, Croatia's getting older. Oh, so, Belgium's getting older. Lightning's getting older. Bruins are getting older. They're still good. Anyways,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm not going to come on here and give you any takes about how good Belgium is, but I think they're better than Canada. That much I think I could safely say. And look, just give us that moment. Give us the one moment where you get the goal. Maybe you take a lead on somebody. You go up 1.
Yeah.
You ready for this? 0. You go up 1-0. Getting in the spirit for November. Here we go. I would love to see it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm anywhere near as invested as McKee or pretty much everybody else I've talked to today is. But man, I'd love to see him have that moment. For sure.
You know what is the stupidest thing about this whole World Cup thing in Canada? So I'm like everyone else where I'm like, I haven't followed super closely, but I'm swept up in it. Canada World Cup, like I'm
Awesome.
fired up. You can't get a jersey.
No, it's the hardest thing in the world right now to get
And
a
like
jersey.
even prior to this, over the past months, it sounds like you can get like a red
T-shirt.
T-shirt.
You get a T-shirt with Jonathan David's name on the back of it for $55.
It's like I can't get an Alphonso Davies today. I can't give Nike $80 for they don't want that.
I went on the official Canada Soccer website, and it was they had 2 options: a youth white Jonathan David jersey and a youth white jersey, and that's the only options. Make more jerseys.
Yeah.
They're gonna sell them.
I've heard there have been like supply chain issues. I've heard this out there. Figure it out. Come on. This is the moment. Like we always talk about it. Strike while the iron is hot. I suppose it could be hotter when they host the World Cup and all that, but come
YouTube
on.
chat hot about the group of death, hot on the soccer talk.
They
here,
like
guys.
it or no?
Yeah, they're loving it.
Okay.
But anyways, let's talk hockey.
Okay. Matthews. Auston Matthews did the 50. Yay.
I gotta say, I mean, McKee, I know you were down there last night as well. Raucous building.
Was it?
There were 3 things they wanted, and this is the order they wanted them in. 50 goals,
Okay.
fight,
Yeah.
Leafs win. They got all 3, but they needed the 50. There were
Yeah.
simmering, we want 50, Auston Matthews chants. Like, it never got to the true raucous where it's like, oh, everyone in the building is chanting in unison, but you could just hear the little pockets everywhere. They were hungry for it
Well,
last
and you
night.
know what? I thought he started playing like that. Like
Yep.
I thought he made the one play there where he fakes Dylan, cuts to the middle, and hit the tendy in the crest, and gave it the look to the sky. Like that wasn't about like distancing themselves from the Jets. That was about the pursuit of 50. And I said it on the show that I think it's been weighing on him, and I wonder if there'll be some relief that came with this, or you've been a lifelong Leafs fan. I mean,
I was 4 when it happened last time.
You're 4 when it happened last.
Or 5. I'm trying to get my math right, but Dave Andruschek, I believe, 94. So, yeah, I would have been 5 years old when
So
that
did
happened.
you need this validation of him getting to 50 to establish anything about Matthews and the Leafs? Like, he's been doing it, but did he need to actually get to the number?
It wasn't about getting to the number in terms of now that you've checked that box, okay, we can give you your statue or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it was just about the guy's gotten so close so many times. It felt like every time he sniffed 50 goals, it's like, well, pandemic, you're hurt. The season's going to get shut down.
Yeah.
Like, I needed him to get there because he's come so close so many times, and it's just I'm frustrated by it. And even though he super downplayed it last night, just a game, nice to get the marker off my back, but I can only imagine how much it weighs on him. But you mentioned the idea of does he get to exhale now? And 50 is a huge number. I don't want to, I'm not taking anything away from that. But 54 is right there. It's not like Rick Vibes scored 59 goals and he has to really go on a tear. And if it was 59, I still think there's a chance he gets it. But it's just the fact that the next milestone is so close. I honestly wonder if he can kind of relax.
We've talked on the show about how, Kyper always wants the big four, to not worry about personal stats. He says about Matthews, if he could get 40 and be this Selke winner, that type of guy, that to him would be a better version of Matthews. I do think that in future years, it will have helped him to get these off his back, to be the guy who hit 50, to be the guy who holds the record. I know we're going to talk about 60 if he stays healthy and he scores at the same clip, he's on pace for 62. So we may be talking about that down the road. I think in future years, it's going to be nice to have done this. Yeah. And maybe this year it's still going to be a part of the chase, but also you don't even really know what you're chasing in the standings. So I feel like this is going to be a year for these personal accolades. Hopefully by the time he gets to playoffs, it's okay, that doesn't matter. Be the guy that Kyper wants him to be, Gunner.
Well, that's the thing. He's has he not kind of been that guy this year?
He has,
I will say that the two-way absolute dominance, it has dropped off just a hair from what was it? I feel like 3 weeks ago we were in the absolute tears of how dare anybody vote for anybody else for the Hart.
How dare anyone have the puck when he's out there?
Exactly. And this is not like he has taken a huge step back in that regard, but it was just he was so elite at doing that, and that has dropped off just a hair lately. But he's been that guy. I mean, I'm not going to put him in the Selke conversation because let's be honest, it's pretty hard to win that when you're scoring it the way he does. You tend to give that award to, well, they made it for Bob Gainey. Was that not the story of okay, we got to give this guy something? And so I don't think he's ever going to truly be in that conversation. But to me, it feels like he has taken that step that you want in that regard at the same time as kind of reaching that milestone.
Yeah, and that's why he can pretty much drag any line, I think, which is a nice tool for the Leafs to have. Why don't we hear what Sheldon Keefe had to say about it, and then we'll continue in on this.
It's fun. Fans enjoyed it. Made for a great atmosphere there in that third period. They're encouraging and pushing Auston. I thought it was great, and it's good to see it, see them, the fans have that moment for Auston to have that accomplishment here on home ice is great. And maybe the best play of the day is David Kampf hitting the post and keeping the game alive for us.
It's comedy night.
Oh,
at
man.
Scotiabank.
What a joke, Sheldon.
You guys love when the coach get laughs, eh?
Just my favorite
knees.
Don Rickles.
I asked Derek to pull up Bonesy's call of the 50th. Have you heard this?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's very good.
Oh, great.
So you want to hear it?
Yeah, I do very much.
Let's hear it.
Chips it ahead. Matthews, empty net. There it is. There it is. Number 34 has got 50. Move over, Leaves, Chucky, and Squid. Big Pappy's on the board.
Leaves, Chucky, and Squid.
Nailed it.
That had shades of Mayday to it.
It really did. I will say, look, I mean, I'm not breaking any news to anybody here. I really try to grasp a hold of the pulse of Leaf Station. That man is the soundtrack to it there. Yeah. He was as happy as could be. We all were. And man, it's just, you go back to it. And I cannot shake the, I don't even want to have the Auston Matthews contract conversation, but I'd be lying to you if I wasn't watching or sitting in that moment last night and going, this guy wants to be a King. This guy wants to be a Ranger. Like, you can have those moments. Other fan bases will absolutely love you, but this is the Mecca. It's never going to matter. And I do wonder if, not to say if he got 50 tomorrow night in Philly that it's any less special, but he doesn't have that moment where it just kind of slams you in the chest of what you're the man on the Leafs right now.
Exactly. That's amazing. No, you're right. That is really cool to have that at home. It was almost like it was meant to be. Again, it's not like he was, I don't know, the last stretch of play has been his best hockey. He just finds a way every single night. We got a breakdown here of the way he scores.
I was just going to bring that up. You want me to read it off?
Yeah, please do. Just the variety with which this guy scores. And hold on, before you do, I was on the air with Bieksa on Tuesday night, and he talked about how he thinks that Matthews is maybe a better pure goal scorer than Ovechkin. Not that he's going to score more than him or anything like that, because what Ovechkin has is longevity.
Amazing how quick you went to say that. No, hold on.
Careful. Because Ovechkin's longevity is the reason he has a kabillion goals. Yep. But he's saying that right now, the way Matthews scores is like every which way, variety. I mean, it's all over the map. You look at Ovechkin, it's from one spot here, a one-timer off a one draw. So go ahead with Matthews, 50 goals by type.
And this is from our boy Luke Fox. 22 wrist shots. That's pretty predictable. 8 snapshots. What's the big difference there?
Do the whole thing, and then let's do it.
7 backhanders.
Yeah.
Love man that. After my heart.
Love that.
6 tips. Woo. 5 slap shots. And 2 wraparounds.
That is delightful to have a little bit of everything. This slap shot to snapshot difference.
Wrist shot.
So it actually is interesting for me. The snapshot is a wrist shot where there is a slap of the puck, like a actual the puck leaves the blade. The wrist shot, it stays on the blade the whole way. For me, the snapshot, there's some separation from the blade, and you hit the puck even though there's no pullback.
Okay, I like that. I think you did a really good job explaining that. To be
I actually didn't think you had that perfect of an explanation.
I really thought it was going to be like, look, okay? You just ask the guy. He knows what it is.
I will say I have thought about it before. I wasn't contemplated in the moment.
That's a great breakdown. The thing that's jumped out to me about the way he's scoring this year, and look, he's Auston Matthews. He's always going to score the bulk of his goals with a wrist shot or a snapshot, either or, whatever he's feeling at that given moment. But the most encouraging thing to me was, okay, maybe not the wraparound goals, it's 2 of them, but it's the tips. This is a guy who, he's so big, he's so strong, and of course you want him kind of cruising around and working in areas where he can get that shot off. But when you're playing with a guy like Marner, who, by the way, his shots improved a lot lately, it kind of really behooves you to be a guy who can get in there and play in those, dirty areas we always talk about. He is huge. He's 6'2", he's 220, if not a lot more than that. And it's just the fact that he can wear guys and use his skill in those tight areas. That's always felt like the other part. It's like, he's going to get 40 in his sleep because of his shot.
Right.
The way he gets to 50 to 60 is all those kind of dirty area goals to me.
A couple things for perspective on Matthews.
Yep.
This is also from our boy Luke Fox. Just on fire on Twitter last night.
Should have got him as a guest today.
He's traveling. I tried. Shut up. He was the youngest Maple Leaf forward in the lineup last night when he scored 50 goals.
My goodness.
So he's got 249 goals now in his career. And Matt Sundin has the Leafs record at 420. He's 171 goals behind Matt Sundin for the all-time Leafs record.
Only 170 behind Sundin.
I mean, it's a lot of goals, but he's young and he scores every game. So
3 seasons for Matthews.
It's pretty and I try my best. We talk about the Leafs every day here, and we boil down on all these different things. We talk about the power play, the PK, the goaltending, everything. But I just really try to appreciate how lucky Leaf fans are to have Auston Matthews on the Leafs.
It's a really great day to have Gunner on.
Never in my wildest dreams, and for the rest of my life, would I have ever dreamt that the Leafs would have a guy like this, and now they do.
Yeah, and I was saying, great to have you on for it as someone who have been a fan of the team and can appreciate that the gravity of the moment. I guess the where does it go from here for the Leafs thing? It doesn't even matter when you just, to Sam's point, getting to have this has so much value, right?
It does.
And Leafs fans, let's be honest, boys, been through some.
Oh yeah, you don't need to preface it with "let's be honest." We all know. We know.
There's been some pain, and so just to get to have, a guy who, whether you think he's the best player in the league or not, you can make the case for him.
For sure.
And this is, one of the first times I feel like he has a legitimate chance to win a Hart Trophy. It's a pretty cool thing. It's special to cover someone at the peak of their prime who's a generational player like that.
Well, it's wild when you think of, and look, yes, the Leafs, for sure. They've had a million down years. We all know. 1967, playing the parade. Yeah, I've heard it all before. Trust me.
Yeah.
For it to be the year 2000, think about how long it's been since they've had a guy. It's been 67 years since the Leaf won the Hart Trophy. Now, there have been guys, I guess, in the conversation in times there. Yeah, 67. Of course, it would be that many years if he gets it done. I can't. The symmetry is too much for me there.
Yeah.
But it's just to have a guy like that. And look, I am born and bred in the Sundin era. Those teams are what kind of raised me on hockey, for lack of a better term. It didn't look like this.
Yeah.
And I love Matt Sundin. Every guy, if you are between the ages of, I don't know, 27 and 40 in the city, and probably older than that.
My favorite hockey player of all time.
Of course, for every guy of our age, of our vintage. And it wasn't like this. The difference I will say about Sundin is he had that era of, and not that Matthews couldn't do this, but he had that era of jump on my back, I will carry you because Jonas Höglander is on my wing. The fact that you look around and, oh my God, that's John Tavares and Mitch Marner.
Yeah,
and not take anything away from those Leafs teams. You know, we love Tucker and Roberts and all, and, you know, all the McGillney, all those guys. But it's just, I think that's the thing that we don't wholly appreciate, because there's so much good. It's almost like you're at like a great restaurant, or like you're at one of those like Vegas buffets, and it's like, man, this prime rib is amazing. It's like, yeah, but who cares? It's like there's lobster over there, and there's I don't know, caviar, whatever rich guy foods, you know. And it's Kyper would be way better at that than me. But it's like, so when you're there, you're looking at the prime rib that is Auston Matthews, but it's like, because there's so much other nice stuff, I really truly don't know that until you have these moments, be it 50 goals or be it a Hart Trophy win or one day winning a playoff series, you don't really dial down and truly appreciate it the way you should.
Matt Sundin got Hart Trophy votes 5 different seasons. He finished 18th, 16th, 8th, 18th, and 12th in Hart Trophy voting. It was 5 best seasons, which very, very good.
For sure.
Very, very good. But, you know, Matthews is easy 1, 2, 3 this year, somewhere in there, depending where you have him. So very cool stuff.
He's still a favorite.
Yeah, I think he's still a favorite.
We looked.
You know what, though?
Are we doing
the Giannis thing, where it's like Giannis has like, he's first in basically every statistical NBA category, but he's won it 2 years in a row. So everyone's like, yeah, but what about Jokic?
Well,
it's like, oh,
I'd call that the LeBron theory more than the Giannis theory.
Fair.
LeBron
only has 4 MVPs.
He should win MVP every single year, but people just get tired of it, and we've talked about this before. The narrative is going to be sort of running out of control, getting out of control with Matthews here. He's playing in the biggest market. He's scoring, potentially breaking the record for one of the most storied franchises in the NHL. He's having the best years.
McDavid gets 140 points.
He does it every year. What have you done for me lately?
This is literally your LeBron theory.
No, it is. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And like, listen, McDavid should probably win MVP every single season, but I don't think he can win it every year. The narrative gets out of control, and Matthews' narrative is the best one right now.
And there's a legitimate case to be made that McDavid does not defend.
Well, that's the other part that I think, and because of the way it got put on so much blast this year with the Tortorella thing, I feel like we're all a little hesitant to dive into those waters. But look, Connor McDavid has 13 more points than Auston Matthews right now. He's first guy to get to 100. Has Auston Matthews, you'll tell me their actual stats for this. I'm going to give you a fake one. Has Auston Matthews prevented 13 more goals than McDavid has this year? Entirely possible.
I would imagine, yes. I'm actually doing a segment on this on Hockey Central tonight.
About Matthews being better than McDavid?
No.
Oh, that'll go over well.
About McDavid's defense, which has been better this season. It's actually much improved from where it's been, but it's much improved from being a bottom third of the league guy to a above 50%, 60 percentile. Matthews at times has been one of the, in the best 10% of players.
Legitimately elite defensively as well.
The other interesting thing about this too is that, the way Mitch Marner has played this year, I think has always kind of altered it, because with the McDavid thing, you say, and now this is more, I say this about Draisaitl, not McDavid, but it's, look, you're either facing second best competition or you're playing with Connor McDavid. And before, it used to be, not that Matthews is by himself. Look, Marner's a tremendous player, but I do feel like this season he is kind of permanently vaulted himself into that. Okay, maybe he's not in the 1, 2, 3 conversation, but if you're building you're putting your 10 best guys or 10 best forwards in the league, he's absolutely in that conversation. Yeah. And I just wonder how much of that changes the calculus when you're saying, well, yeah, it's the best line in hockey. Like, sometimes that can work I feel like with Nathan MacKinnon, he gets all the credit for his line being amazing. We talk about how good Rantanen is. We talk about how good Landeskog is.
Right.
But man, that Nathan MacKinnon. And it feels like with both the Oilers guys, they kind of play off of each other and almost bring each other down half a peg. Well, and I feel like that's what's happening with Marner. And, well, not so much with Matthews now, but I do wonder, as Marner kind of permanently ascends, for lack of a better term, if that's going to happen.
It's always annoyed me that, and I talked about this with Kyper, I think last week, where it was like, it's always annoyed me that we're looking for the best player on the team with the worst second best player. You know, it's like, I guess Jack Hughes is the most valuable because then who's the next best devil? Like, you know, it makes no sense to me. Shesterkin, he has a case there. So I always just think give it to the best player in the league and you probably can't go wrong.
Well, where
this
are you
year.
at on goalie? Like, I just, for me.
Get him out of the award.
Okay, thank you.
They have their own award.
Well, that's where I'm at. Like,
But that's
I don't
not
like.
how it's done, right?
They have their own
They
award.
do have their own award, but so do defensemen.
Yeah, perfect.
No, that's why
It's
they've
gonna-
only won one Hart.
In
It's like
50
Pronger
years,
is the only guy. Yeah.
Just so quickly before we move on from Matthews, they have 14 games left.
Yeah.
What is the number? What's your prediction on the number that he gets to?
I
Because he's
think
got 50 now.
I think he comes up just shy of 60. I think it's like a 57 or something like that. I don't think I would love him to poke Steven Stamkos in the eye and say, I'm the most recent guy to get 60 right
But
before
is
the
it
playoffs.
not? You want to be the guy who says Matthews isn't going to get there?
Oh, if I poke the bear and he's the reason, you're welcome. Very, very.
I just don't think I just can't bet against this guy. Like his stats.
So this is where it's like the two sides of my brain, and they're both very empty. But the two sides that are working, it's like journalist guy who should have a valid opinion,
measured take,
versus Brent who knows how his life has gone, and this is going to be cursed. And it's like I'd really like to see 60. I was in the building for 50 last night. There's no way I'm going to be that lucky to see him get 60 this year. So that's kind of why I think ultimately. Plus, I do think there's something where. I do wonder if there's a world where we keep talking about it, but I do wonder if they shake that top line up and that just kind of cools them off a bit.
Maybe you rest him down the stretch. Maybe I don't know.
Can you rest him if he's going for 60? Like if he has 57 goals and there's 5 games left, can you tell him you're
Here's the
playing
thing,
3?
and we're going to do this later in the show. If you are doing anything with your lineup for reasons outside of giving you the best chance to win in playoffs and winning hockey games, what are you doing? And I mentioned that because of Keith Yandel, who has been kept in the lineup in the past because of his Iron Man. Phil Kessel was a guy that it was rumored didn't get traded because if he went to a good team, he might get scratched at times. Like, these guys want to keep their Iron Man streaks going, which devalues them entirely to me if you're fighting for it.
And
so
they play 15 games, by the way. All the YouTube people tell me I'm an idiot. They play 15 games.
that was
14.
not nice YouTube people.
Yeah,
Sam's
I
smart
am
guy.
an
I mean,
I know
look,
I'm
you
an
may
idiot.
be right about other areas where he's an idiot, but not in this one. You nailed this one.
I'm saying he gets to 59.
Oh, cruel.
See, he's with me.
That's leaf tortured
This is where, yeah, exactly. Same brain is being shared.
It's such a huge thing.
But you know what? The greats do this stuff. He'll score 3 in the last game or something. The way Gretzky got 5 in game 39. Matthews scored 4 in his first game. He scores the OT winner in a Heritage Classic. He's just the type of guy that does those types of things.
He's got 50 in 62 games.
He is just magic, though. Some guys just have that about him, and it's like I
Maybe
don't
he could
know.
be magic in the playoffs this year.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like the whole conversation.
Such a hater comment.
Well, it's true though. That's the whole conversation we're having here. Is look, it's all great. Is anybody gonna, how special is that moment gonna have been for Mia McKee down there? If it's a month removed from the Leafs bowing out in the first round, it's just that
finishes with 55, and then the Leafs losing 5 to Tampa Bay. It's like that season wasn't that
even
fun.
if he has 3 in the 5 games, it doesn't matter. Like it's just that's the thing, and we'll talk goaltending here today at some point, but it's like that's the other kind of thing that's lingering over this team, and you want to enjoy the regular season, you want to like take all of this in, soak it all in, but kind of doesn't matter. Like it's just that's the problem with this team and the way they've squandered their chances in the
problem
past.
with this whole season. That's been the problem. Talking about everything. All right, are we good on Matthews?
Yeah,
I think so. I'm good.
All right. Pierre Engvall and Ilya Mikheyev are next on our docket, if you can believe that.
I'm a little surprised, but not after watching the game last night.
I mean, good Lord, that third line, you made a really good point about this. Why don't we first listen to Sheldon on the shorthanded goal, and we'll launch into old Pierre and Ilya after that.
They're recognizing that the speed that they have, the length that they have, to close quickly. They both got long arms, long stick that can get on pucks. It was great effort and great play by Pierre to get it to Mickey, and then Mickey with the poise to settle the puck and get a great finish. That was a great goal and a very important one.
There is Leafs head coach Sheldon Keefe. Talk about that goal Mikheyev scores last night, and I know you want to talk about the Mikheyev part of it. If I would have told you 6 months ago Pierre Engvall would be skating at the correct net using his frame to take a hit, to make a play and spring a guy on a breakaway, we would say, wow, he must have really improved as a player. And that's kind of exactly what's happened. He's done. I've done a complete 180 on what he is as a guy.
And he has done the 180 directionally as well.
Yeah.
He's going the right way. No, it's fascinating. We were talking off the air, like at $1.25 million. You can make the case that this guy's value for dollar is as high as anyone on the Leafs. I mean, he's become an integral part of the PKs. And the third lines have been dominant this season with him and Mikheyev and Kampf, and whether it's Kasha on there, yesterday with Willie on there. They just look so good, and part of that is Pierre Engvall has become a contributor.
He really has. I mean, this is a guy who you're sitting there, you're putting your Leafs lineup together as the season goes, and he's in there, but he's on the fourth line. We'll see how he goes.
He was a whipping boy for Keefe too.
Well, I genuinely hear all the stuff Keefe says about Engvall, and obviously it stopped because he's a different player this year than he's been in the past. And to me, that sounds like a coach looking at a guy and going, you should be the best player in the world.
Yeah.
You're 6'5", you skate like the wind, you have a pretty good head about you out there. You have good vision, and it's just it always felt to me like all the stuff Keefe was saying about Engvall. It's if that's a lesser player or if that's a guy who he doesn't think can take the step, it's just okay, he didn't have it tonight. But he would go out of his way. Not that he'd bring up Engvall if he wasn't asked about him, but it wasn't the coach speak of, well, we need more from him. It was really drilling down and really coaching him.
It reminds you of like the gifted kid in high school who teachers are just like trying to get through to, like, quit smoking with your friends.
You realize how great you can be.
he's
None of us ever got
he's
that.
Matt Damon. He's like, we don't want you working at a construction site. Use your skills.
Keefe, every day. Every day when I see you walk into this coach's office, I think you're not going to be here. But he does want him here. He does want him here. I mean, that third line, I really like how the lines have looked lately since Nylander made the switch. And it got me thinking. So all the talk early on, once I was about to say early on in the season, but really once they beat the Blackhawks and kind of got their season actually rolling, Sheldon Keefe saying, I finally got my third line.
Right.
I've wanted a checking center and a checking line for the whole time I've been here, and it feels like that's never happened, and you finally have it in front of you. We have all loved what the third line has given them. I like how William Nylander looks there. I don't think William Nylander can play on a checking line in the playoffs.
No.
So what do you do? Because I don't think the third line looks bad, and they were taking, they were running, they had the run of play against the Jets, and it wasn't just in a shutdown role, but the Jets are a little different than the perfection line in Boston or whatever. Tampa's going to roll over the boards.
Yeah, so you can check out right now on sportsnet.ca my article on Willie Nylander, which I wrote this morning on Nylander's situation. So just to go off your point, I thought Nylander last night was awesome.
Yeah.
Like as good as you've seen him be. And it's got to be so frustrating for Willie even to be like, I'm rewarding the guy for punishing me, like put me down the third line. He brings it and he just shows you. It's almost validating for the haters, the Nylander haters. It's like everyone knows what he can do. And every time he gets that kick and he does it, it's like, just do that.
So, but the point is that you're bringing up, talking about the third line. He can't be on the third line. Well, he can't be on the second line because we know
him and JT don't work.
It just doesn't work. And you've tried it. And
but
you've taken
Willie playing like that would work with JT, no?
Listen.
Well,
this is the thing with Willie and JT is that because of now, maybe it is, and maybe you've hit on something there. They do have their 2 or 3 week stretches where they are playing together well, and you're thinking, oh yeah, of course. What are we talking about here? There's 2 NHL All-Star guys. Right. Tavares $11 million. Willie gets his 7 for a reason. But I do wonder if it's and then because of that, you say, oh, it works. They're just going through a slump. You're tantalized by it. But I do wonder if is it just a more engaged Nylander, and that's the only difference between it working or not. I tend to agree that there's just something stylistically that doesn't quite mesh there. But I don't know where you put him because I really like that third line, but I keep going back to it that no matter how good he plays, William Nylander is not a matchup guy in this league.
Right. In my brain, like I could recall Marner to Tavares plays easily. A lot of them. Like how many JT to
the last game
Tavares do you have?
Was that against Florida?
Yeah,
where he set him up twice.
Plays. Yeah, like how many Nylander Tavares plays do you have? Like those guys played together for 100+ games.
And I can't.
And there's like nothing comes to mind where it's like
when I think of Nylander plays, it's Nylander Matthews seam passes when they're playing together.
So those guys, maybe that is the answer. And I have made some noise about thinking it should be Marner with Tavares and Matthews and Nylander, but anyway,
I don't think. I mean, this could be a bigger conversation, but I don't think Nylander really fits with Matthews either. Outside of the
Wait,
first
you
year,
can't put him on your first, second, or third line, and he's a 30-goal, 70-point guy?
I don't know. He just didn't really fit with Matthews either. They tried it a bit this year. It didn't really work that much. I don't know. I think he should play on the third line all the way through.
So, but to Gunner's point, that line has been your matchup defensive line. It's Kempf, it's Mikheyev,
But
it's Engvall.
I think he can
you
play
going to
there,
throw
though.
Willie over the boards to snuff out the other team's top line? D-zone starts? It's okay if the answer is yes.
I think it is yes. I think it is yes. I think what I've seen from these last 2 games, if you listen, this is all under the understanding that you're not touching the top line. Because if that's in play, that's what I want to happen. I want a full shakeup, and we're saying this after they've beaten.
I know.
Like,
I know.
Change everything.
The Leafs have been awesome.
Change everything, all the lines. But if you're not going to touch the top line, then I think Willie will stay where he's staying.
Well, and to the point you made, though, I mean, I feel like, I don't know that I heard Nylander say this, but I've heard people say that he said it. I think Keith mentioned it in one of his post games that Nylander has said, yes, please hold me accountable. I would like to be. If I need to sit down for a shift, sit me down for a shift. If I need to be bumped down a line.
Which is weird too, isn't it?
Which is really weird considering everything we kind of think about, like, you again, from all of the contract stuff going into December and everything, you think, oh, prima donna, all that stuff. And hey, maybe there is some of that going on. But the fact that he wants that, I do wonder if maybe putting him on the third, and look, like, I understand the playing with fire element of you have a 1-goal lead in Boston or wherever, and it's William Nylander going over the boards. I understand that, but I do wonder if the big spotlight saying this is your role, yes, score, yes, make it more offensive, if that's enough to kind of coax it out of him, because all the stuff we think about him, he can do it. He can't, like, he's strong as an ox. He can win any battle he wants.
Pucks away as well as anyone when he's getting under sticks.
Scored a goal standing in the blue paint last night.
Yes, he did.
He scores all his goals in the blue paint.
He actually does. You know, the thing I give Sheldon Keefe a lot of credit for is he puts guys on lines, and then you'll go look at the time on ice after the game, and you're like, oh, Bunting played 14 minutes while Marner played 22. Mm-hmm. They were line mates, but, like, he finds ways to get the right guys more time and less guys. You know, Blackwell was playing fourth line, but he played 13 minutes when Spezza and Simmons played 8, you know, whenever it was a couple games ago. So if Willie were on that line, I still think you'd have the moments where you're like, okay, we're doing peer checking. Willie, sit this one out.
It's funny. This is completely off topic, but just you mentioning that of his ability to kind of run a bench, I felt like that was tested so much last night, just with the complete lack of 5-on-5 play. The Leafs had a couple power plays right in a row, and then Winnipeg had one. And I'm sitting there, you know, we're going to do our ideal Leafs decor at some point here today, but I'm sitting there trying to put it together, and I was even losing track of the pairs because, okay, you got Gio and Liljegren together when it's a penalty kill, but then when it's back at 5-on-5, you're going to put Hall out there. Like, it's just, that's what, you know, we always talk about coaching, and you hear fans grouse. I mean, think about how it ended for Babcock here in this market. And it feels like when we talk about that, it's what do they say after the game and who plays with who? But it's that those are the little things that I think that I'm not going to say nobody picks up on, because I'm not that smart and I picked up on it. But there's so much more to coaching than just who is lined up 1 through 4.
It's hardest, like, after power plays and penalty kills, and that's often when you'll see Keefe, like, if PP2 gets out there, he'll put out like a super line right after, right, like looking to try to get out the big guys together. It's interesting how he kind of piles that together.
Sure. Let's talk about the fourth line.
Yeah, so we have fourth line, but we also have Simmons not getting to fight Lowry. So tie it all in here.
Tie it all in. Let's play the fourth line.
Kiefer on the fourth line.
I was happy with it. You know, we had lots of energy, lots of physicality. You know, in each period, I thought they had great shifts and great moments that really allowed the crowd to get going and build us energy. You know, in the first period, it was a scoring chance. It was a puck to the net and some traffic and rebounds and things like that. And then there was some physicality after that. You know, so we were happy with what we got from that. It was a tough game. They didn't play their fourth line much, the Jets, and made it a little bit harder to get them out there as much as I maybe would have liked to, but I thought they did a good job even when some of the matchups weren't optimal.
Yeah, I really like the fourth line. There was one rough shift. They absolutely got hemmed in and could not. I was convinced there was the goal happening there, but to their credit, I mean, it seems so silly to make it all about one shift for me, especially when the game was dead, gone, and over. Auston Matthews scores 50. I don't know if it was the very next, but within a minute, that fourth line is out there.
Yeah.
Simmons and Clifford hitting
Ran into
everything
everybody.
that moves. I'm shocked they didn't get a linesman or a ref at some point in time because it was Warm Body was getting smoked by one of those
Any
guys.
criticism of them putting that line together was voided by that shift.
It worked. They
worked.
and they went out there and they played the role that Sheldon Keefe envisioned. It wasn't just the last shift of the game. The first shift of the game, Simmons was out there right at Logan Stanley,
slashing the
immediately.
stick out of his hand.
Just all over him, in his ear, trying to hit him. He threw somebody down. I think it was Morrissey. He threw him down to the ice.
What
It
did
worked.
Morrissey do to the Leafs? I feel like he is always the guy who eats it.
I don't know.
So
Yeah,
we
that's
were
great.
hard on the decision making, but turns out the Jets kind of suck, and it was okay to do that. We were like, how do you not? Well, because the fourth line worked, and the Jets kind of stink at the bottom half of their lineup.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys and bloodlust and all that, but I was feeling like I want Wayne
I was
Simmons
thirsty for it
to
last
be
night.
relevant, and I really enjoy the person, and he's so tough. And Lowry agrees to go him, and they get arrested for pre-crime and ejected in this Minority Report ass called garbage.
Give me it.
How do you kick someone out for something they didn't do? They didn't do anything.
They thought about it. They might have even said they were going to do it.
So what?
The thing that drives me nuts about this is that is done with the intention of, if I'm going to see this through the most ref positive view ever, and hey, this is a new place for me to feel. It's a little weird thinking this way. All this is you need to cool the game down. This is how things get out of hand. You have a couple of fights. I'm not defending it. I'm just trying to understand how they think. Exactly. Okay. But when you throw Wayne Simmons out of the game after Kyle Clifford has already fought and he's out of the game, all you're doing is giving Winnipeg a license to run around because all the guys who do that kind of thing for the Leafs is out of here.
Good pickup.
That was, and it happened in the last game against the Jets. It wasn't quite, or it was even closer towards the tail end of things, but Simmons got a 10-minute misconduct. He's out of the game. That's the protector out there. And I know Clifford played in that game too. He fought Dylan the exact same way they went, but it's just if I'm giving it the most, you're trying to keep this game in your control. All you're doing is giving the car keys to the Jets and saying, all right, boys, lock up when you're done. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, so fully agree. I know we have to get to break for McLean. We will talk more about this later. We also need to talk about Shelgren.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
We still
We
got
talked about
lots.
Matthews for a half an hour.
Well, we should have.
Yes. So.
Big moment.
There we go.
Yes, you can throw us to break.
Okay, I can.
Do the thing.
I am not Nick Kypreos. I am Brett Gunning. Justin Bourne alongside me. Real Kyper and Bourne continues on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and here on YouTube.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Real Kyper and Bourne? No, it's not a hilarious April Fool's joke. I am actually here. Brent Gunning alongside my buddy Justin Bourne. Borny, thanks for welcoming me in.
Yes, buddy.
And
Thanks for
we're
being
going to
here.
welcome in a regular Friday guest. I've talked to this man before, but I think it's my first time interviewing him. Doug McLean joins us now. Doug, how you doing? You on a beach somewhere?
Like, what the hell am I on this show for when Kypreos is not on it? Like, I do it because I do him a favor, and he bails? Are you kidding me?
Well, you know, Kyper thought you and I would get along.
This is a joke.
Yeah, he thought we'd get along great, Doug. So that's why I'm here.
And who are you?
I'm Brent Gunning. I used to produce Hockey Central.
Your show?
Yeah, I used to produce your show once in a while. Yeah.
Give
you some stat packs.
I've heard of you.
Okay, heard of's nice.
Now, was your nickname Show?
No, we didn't. There's actually a guy. That's just a guy who works here. Okay. So,
because Show used to produce. Anyway, go ahead.
So where are we? On the beach today, playing some pickleball. What are we up to, Mac?
You know what? I've been extraordinarily busy today. I'm sure you probably don't know, but I'm writing a book.
Mm.
And it's almost ready to go into Simon & Schuster. We're probably a month away from it going in. It's not coming out till next spring, but it's not about me. It's a book on the draft. So
What's it called, Doug? Do you have a name yet?
Draft Day with Doug McLean.
Pretty good. Straight to the point. No one's going to be confused about what they're like. They will not be sold the bill of goods. They'll know exactly what they're getting into with that one. Good luck with that. We'll definitely be keeping an eye.
And my good friend Scott Morrison is the ghostwriter or the writer for it with me. So anyway, just a little PR there. I know Kypreos put a book out. This one will be a bestseller, unlike Kypreos's. But anyway.
Well, I thought that was just pictures. I could have been wrong. I don't know. Obviously, Doug, big topic here. Auston Matthews. He gets 50 last night. Feels like we've been so close to it. You know, you've been around the league for a long time. 50 is still this huge number. You know, what do you think it means for a player to kind of reach that, especially a guy like Matthews who's come so close a couple of times already?
Well, look, watching him last night and, watching him quite a bit this year, I marvel at almost every shift he plays as kid. And he's still a kid. And as a guy that's kicked around a long time, I marvel at what he does on the ice. I mean, offensively, defensively. I listened to Giordano talk about, the way he's back checks. And we've seen that coming from his first day in the league. But not only that, he's such an offensive threat. When he has the puck inside the blue line. It's pretty special to watch. And he's been that good, guys. You guys see it more firsthand than I do, but he has been that good. We talk about it on this show a lot about guys that are drivers on lines. Mm-hmm. This guy drives the play. No doubt about that. He's special.
And throughout hockey history, like the guys like that tend to get Stanley Cups. I mean, it just has historically the greatest players in the game have seemed to have found a way. Obviously, Leafs Nation hoping this is the year they can get through a round. Has anything changed for you opinion-wise watching the Leafs take care of Florida, go into Boston, get a win, beating Winnipeg last night? Do you feel any differently that they're starting to find something here?
Well, you know what? I was wondering about that the last few games, and then Winnipeg didn't look very good last night, but Toronto did look good. Here's what jumped out at me, and it was a stat I saw today that two of the last guys to score 50 goals in the same amount of time as Matthews did was Lemieux and Yager on the 95-96 Penguins.
Right.
Both of them were 50-goal scorers in that team. And the Florida Panthers, played them in the third round of that playoff series. And both of them were held to 2 assists in that series. A 7-game series. Between the two of them, they had 2 points against us.
Wow. What's the recipe? I feel like that's the natural follow-up. How?
You know what? It's mind-boggling the job that our guys did on those two guys. And I'll never forget the first meeting I went into in our team meeting at the hotel before that series started. I said, guys, our goal in this series is to make Mario and Yammer hate hockey by the end of this series. We want them to hate the game because we're going to punish them so much. So the reason I'm telling this because I was thinking about Matthews and you just brought it up. That's the next thing is now it's got to translate to the playoffs to become an absolute star in the playoffs and with the help of, Marner and company lead this team to success. That's the next big accomplishment for this kid who's still a kid, which is hard to believe. We're asking that of a relatively young player, but that's the way the game is today. Yeah, so it's a great accomplishment, but like you guys just said, the next step is winning at playoff time.
Yeah, he's incredible. And the fact that he was the youngest Leaf forward in the lineup last night just kind of shows how young an age he's doing it. Doug, I don't know if you remember, but there was that clip from the playoffs last year of Sherrod. He's got him by the neck or the collar of his shirt, and Matthews is laughing. A lot of people took two sides of that. One side of the coin is, look, you want your guy to not be worried, be above the fold. But if I'm listening to what you're saying there, I think you'd like Auston Matthews, if that happens this time, to turn around and pop Sherrod in the mouth. Like, it feels like you want him to be that guy who's asserting himself physically. Do you see that coming into his game more? And what does it take to kind of take that from the regular season into the playoffs?
Well, we've seen different guys do it at playoff time. Obviously, we've watched Sid do it, and he's relatively quick in his career with some pretty good players. Malkin has been a big plus to, let's not kid ourselves. Sid winning the Cups, Malkin has been a great support guy. So Matthews is going to need to have a real support guy with him. We saw Ovechkin do it when he got support. I go back to Steve Yzerman. I was with Steve Yzerman for 5 years in Detroit, and we had challenges. We won a couple of rounds, but we got knocked out by the Leafs in the first round. We got knocked out by San Jose. Stevie Y couldn't get it done. He couldn't get over the hump because he was solo. And once Stevie got the support cast with him, once Larionov came in and Konstantinov became a star and Lidstrom became a star, and he got the support group, Stevie became the greatest captain and one of the greatest captains in the history of the game. But I'm telling you, for 5, 7, 8, 9 years, Stevie had a tough time getting over the hump at playoff time. Got his 50 goals. 40 goals, 50 goals, whatever it was, but getting over the hump in the playoff time, you need unbelievable support from Marner, Nylander, and company, Tavares, Riley, whoever it's going to be. That's the only way you win. And Sid and Malk and Sid and Ovi got support. So, a lot's on him. He's got to fight through everything. Sherrod and these guys can't intimidate, can't bother, can't get in his face. But it's also the support of his teammates to take him there.
Yeah, one of the guys that they banked on adding a little bit of that stability and support at the deadline is Mark Giordano, who's been pretty good along Liljegren. He had a moment where he got walked by Blake Wheeler last night, but everyone has their bad moments. The talk around Leaf Nation that I see is just like, you got to get this guy re-signed. They got to, he's a valuable piece of this. You need him. Kyper and I have argued back and forth on what would potentially be a reasonable value. I tend to think this is a guy still playing top 4 minutes and he's still going to cost some money. Kyper, he was suggesting that you offer him the league minimum, like Spezza type deal.
Yeah, I like that.
He is a Toronto guy. Do you think he'd be offended if you went to him with something that low?
I look, Giordano's done everything in his career, from Norris to being a captain to being a leader, but he's never won. And he's hardly ever won at playoff time. They have one run? Yep. One run in his time in Calgary. You know what? I would think that the biggest issue for Mark would be an opportunity to win. I compare it to a Bork. I don't know what contract situation, but I have a hard time believing that money will be an issue for him. I don't think he will be insulted because they understand the game. They understand the dollars in the game. They understand the Leafs situation. Do you embarrass them? No, you don't embarrass them, but you don't pay him big money at 39 years of age. You don't give him big term. you work with them to say, hey, we think you can be an important part, but this is where we are cap-wise. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, guys. They need a goaltender really bad this summer, whether it's Jack, whether he reestablishes himself, but they need to go out and find a number one goalie. It's going to cost them, if there's anybody out there, going to cost them a lot of money. How much money are they going to have for a Mark Giordano at 39? I'm with Kyper. But you work with them and you approach it in a professional way, and Kyle's good at that. That hey, we want you to be part of this group, but we cannot afford to pay you big money. That's where I'd go.
So Justin
Bourne I don't think he'd be insulted. Justin Bourne. Yeah, well, he can write that in his article.
Well,
he wants to give him $5 million. I was on with these guys. Name Benning. Is it Jim Benning?
Jim Benning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's Gunning. It's Gunning.
I'm Brent Gunning. I'm not former Canucks GM.
All right, okay.
I'll take it. If anyone wants to offer me a position.
I was on with these guys a few months ago, and the two of them were talking that Jack Campbell is going to get $6 million. And I said, are you guys serious? Like, am I really listening to this? That's what so let's not get carried away with what Bourne wants.
I'm going to stick to non-GM roles for now.
I was just going to say, Justin Bourne says one thing.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And former player and former GM say another. I'm just saying. I think I kind of know which side I want to side with, especially because that side has Mark Giordano making like $850 next year, and I definitely like that.
No, I didn't. I don't say $850, but I think you come in with something that Kyper, that's fine. He wants to pay him what Spets is making, I'm sure.
Yeah,
he
does.
He wants to pay him in Little Buddha, probably.
But Spezza played 7 minutes last night, or 8 minutes, or 10 minutes, and Simmons played 7 minutes. I mean, so if you're going to bring Giordano back, he's got to be a 20-minute guy. And you know what? Here's the big test, guys, and let's not get too carried away with Mark, although he's had an amazing career. Let's see how he performs at 39 in the rigors of a Stanley Cup playoff. Let's see how that goes. And I think you got to step back and say, okay, can at 39 he handle a Tampa Bay or a Boston in a 7-round series, and then another 7-game series, and see where he is at the end of 2 rounds?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would sign up for seeing that, honestly, Doug. Like, he'd finally win.
Well, yeah.
You talk about the goaltending. You talk about the goaltending there, and what does it do for a team when you just have this much uncertainty? I guess the good thing is that they can say, well, Campbell's been hurt, and that wasn't really him the last time we saw him, and we believe Campbell can be the guy that we saw earlier this season. But what does it do to a team when you're looking at pretty much one option? Because the magic is off with Shalgren here. He's kind of falling back to earth after his shutout in his first start, and Peter Mrazek's hurt for 6 weeks. So what is it like for a team when there's no real backup plan? It's got to be this guy, and it's a guy you're kind of uncertain about.
Well, I think it's frightening. I really do. I mean, I said it last year going into the playoffs that the guy had never played a playoff game in his life and hardly played even regular season games. And then we're going into a second year into the playoffs, and he's the number one guy, and he's played 1 series in the playoffs, essentially. And he's been hurt most of the season, and he struggled for half the season, and he was really good the first half. So you guys know the same as anybody in hockey knows that the number one position at playoff time is your goaltender. You don't think Tampa Bay coming in with Vasilevsky and Boston, whether you like the kid Swayman and the kid Ullmark, have been both really pretty solid for them. Florida's goaltender Bobrovsky, I think they'll give him the run support that he needs to win. But if he starts to stumble, I think Florida can score their way out of a round, because if Bobrovsky slips. But the way Bobrovsky's played this year, Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, Boston's team defense, that's a tough first round. So you better have great goaltending if you're going to win and compete in those series. And I'd be really scared about that. I really would be. I mean, last night, Shelby, he was good, but he let in 4 goals. 4 goals go in,
Yeah.
That's frightening.
It is. It is a concerning position for Leafs fans. Last one for me, Doug, and just wanted to get your take on something which I wrote a little bit about today. Willie Nylander gets a kick in the pants from his coach, down to the third line, just taking off the second line in an earlier game before that. And he's played 2 games since, and he's been awesome. He's been dynamic, engaged, taking the puck to the net. what do you do with a guy like this? Is there ever a chance to get him to play like that version of him every game, or you just got to live with the fact that it's not going to be there sometimes?
You know what? I like the way he bounced back after getting the kick in the butt.
Yeah.
I do, and what I liked about it is he battled the score. He really battled the score, which he hadn't been doing, and he'd been playing on the edges, and he wasn't getting involved. I liked his game. So it's like I've told you this story many times about the kid that comes into your office and said, "Hey, why am I on the fourth line? Why am I on the fourth line? It's not fair. I'm always on the fourth line." And the coach says, "Because I don't have a fifth line. That's why you're on the fourth line." So for Willie didn't want to go any lower. He wanted to move up, and I don't blame him. And I give him full marks for that. I liked his effort last night, especially the one where he battled in the paint, 2 guys on him, and he battles and scores. So good on him. Good move by Keith. It would send a message.
Yeah, that's always been the thing about Nylander is he needs to be poked and prodded once in a while, but when you do it, you tend to get pretty decent stuff out of him for a period of time anyways. Doug,
I would poke him before game. I'd poke him before game 1 of the playoffs, maybe.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Get the consulting fee out to MLSE for that brilliant insight.
Good luck with your career.
Thank you.
Glad you made the big move to get on this show, and congratulations and good luck.
Wow. Well, I mean, with your well wishes, I'm sure it can go nowhere but up from here. Mac, thanks so much, man.
My well wishes mean a lot at Sportsnet. See you later, guys.
Oh, there he goes.
Thanks for joining us,
Doug
Doug.
McLean, friend, colleague, well wisher of mine. Apparently,
Yes.
Called me Jim Benning. We can't. We can't.
This is the first show he didn't call me Jason Bourne. So
I'm just laughing my ass off back here, boys. That was funny.
I genuinely thought he was about to give us a Canucks anecdote, and I'm
angle,
like,
yeah.
oh, I mean, okay, I'll hear it. Sure. Hey, I don't remember who the Canucks GM is all the time.
while he was calling you Jim Benning, someone in our comments said, "Is that the guy from Mumford and Sons?" So
Okay. All right. I don't even. I don't know if that's a compliment.
Well, I tell you what, I Googled it. Fairly handsome band.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
I'm
right.
not sure which one specifically.
Well,
you'd be,
that's the problem. Aren't there like 17 people in that band?
Yeah,
It's
there's
like-
a lot of sons.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know who
there
Mumford
we,
is.
There we
but-
go. There we go.
He has many sons, that Mumford.
Busy guy. Mumford. Busy.
So we mentioned goaltending.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't really talk about it. We got 5 minutes now. Maybe we could talk about
Yes.
it. It felt good. Hey, how good did it feel to go through the full segment, Bourne? No goaltending talk. We did the full thing without talking about the goal.
I felt like the foundation hadn't been built.
I know.
By the way, Doug did call him Shellberg as well. So again,
Okay, there we go.
No
And who are
offense
you?
taken. No offense taken from anyone.
Again, he thought I was an NHL GM. That's how
Right.
I'm going to take him calling me
Okay.
Jim Benning. That's what I'm going to
Good
take
luck
there.
there.
Okay, I'll take it.
Let's talk
Goaltending.
about
We
the
have
elephant
to. Yeah,
in the room.
Have to do it.
Because last night was a ton of fun.
The Shellphant.
You know, wow.
Thanks.
I'm not even going to boo you. That was damn good.
That's really good.
The Matthews 50, beating him on the streets and on the scoreboard. You know, Willie, everything. Shalgren did not look good last night.
No.
You know, like the goals that went in were not good, and then the Leafs did not give up a chance for the last half of the
I
game.
think Winnipeg had 20 shots.
Yeah, and
give or
I
take.
can't even remember a chance in the third period. Like they
Right.
really shut it down.
By the way, the Leafs have played tremendous defensive hockey lately.
Well, okay, hold
well,
on.
I'm wondering if Mark Giordano had something to do with that.
Yeah.
For sure. But is there something to you have to play desperate in front of a guy like that? And
Yes, but you can't sustain
No,
it.
exactly. That's the thing. Like, I'm not saying, oh, you know
Put
what?
airs in
you know
and
what you should
everyone will
really
deal.
do. Exactly. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I
Yeah.
do wonder how much of it is just, look, this is a moment where our season cannot not go off the rails in the sense of they're going to miss the playoffs or anything. But this is where you need to really, I don't know, confirm your momentum, for lack of a better term. You cannot be sliding in the opposite direction. This team is peaking. Okay, maybe I'd like it like 1 week from now, but they're borderline peaking at exactly the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder how much of that is just they feel like they can't give up that many good looks. It was 2-0 and they had allowed 4 shots at one point last night. Like, that just can't happen. And you're right. There's no way you can sustain that going forward. But I do wonder if that's what's making them look like this, along with Gio, for sure.
Well, but yeah, definitely with Mrazek for a while there, you didn't feel any better about it
No.
being him over Shellgren. So
Let me ask you this. What happens if Jack Campbell, the rib, wasn't the problem?
and it's just you think the kitchen?
Like the brain bone.
what happens? Because then you didn't address it at the deadline. I guess you tried to get Harry Carey Sateri or whatever. You tried to sneak him through.
By the way, I was not here, obviously, because it's the first time I've been on the show. The Harry Carey Sateri day
Very
was
good.
as fun a day as I've had.
that was all Kyper dug that one up.
Kipper was very pleased with himself. And justifiably so.
It's gonna be
Yeah, exactly.
it's gonna be very hard to look back at the trade deadline where it went unaddressed and not questioned.
I think
everything's great.
There's a number of things where Kyle Dubas, I give Kyle Dubas a lot of credit for this right here. He hasn't waffled on what he's doing. You know, with the core of the team, he's saying, gonna live and die by this group. Through my pen.
Who needs it? We're
die.
making points here.
Right. Might die. And if we don't win, I'll wear it.
Yep.
We're going down with the ship. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. With the goaltending, he said, that's my guy. And if he doesn't play well, we're going to lose. And that's been true of all this. Any of the guys he was going to add, whether it was Harry Sateri or Venny Vivalainen or Scott Wedgwood,
Marc-Andre Fleury.
if you're going to them in the playoffs, you've lost. You're down 2-0 to Tampa or Boston or Florida or Carolina, and you have lost. So it's going to be Jack Campbell or it's not going to work. And that's been the bet he's made. Maybe his rib's no good. Maybe the brain bone's hurting a little bit. Whatever it may be, may not work, but it's the bet Dubas has made.
Well, the thing about it that I go back
That's
to.
some real truth right there.
It
kind of hurts.
That's it. But the thing I go back to about it is now I've kind of come around on this the other way. I was somebody who said, no, Marc-Andre Fleury, I do not want that. The more I've thought about it, okay, that would be maybe a better option to have in the fold than Eric Källgren. But, from my understanding of the guy who normally sits right here, is that wasn't going to happen. Marc-Andre Fleury was in all likelihood not going to waive his no-move clause to come here. And that's where I look at it and say it just all goes back to the call you made on Mrazek last summer. This isn't about having faith in Jack Campbell. It's about having faith in Mrazek, because I believe if there was and I suppose you could say, well, that was Scott Wedgwood or that was Double V out of Minnesota. But I think if there was the David Rittich move of like, all right, warm body, here's a third rounder, let's do that. I think that would have happened. But you look at what Double V got moved for. It was the Wild that minder there who got traded on.
The K's.
Yeah, exactly.
K's, V's, whatever.
K's, V's, whatever. He got moved for a body that's playing for them right now. At least we're not moving out a roster player to address hopefully their third goalie. And that's why it's not about, it is about having faith in Campbell right now, but this bind all goes back to the bet on Mrazek. And, we know the fancy, stats said, it's actually, I need to see fancy stats for groins intact by the end of a season. And I know he's no good in that regard.
No, it's not a strength of his.
Tough one.
All right, I guess we'll hit break number 2 here. We're going to bring Dan Rosen in to talk about all things NHL. We'll take a little tour about the league, and I'm just going to take us to break, so we will be back after this. Brent Gunning, Justin Bourne, Sam McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jen Rolnick. Got it. All right, we'll be back after this.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Brent Gunning filling in for the Real Kyper. Back Monday, I assume. No one's told me anything. So, yeah, hey, it's Nick Kypreos. It's his world.
You know, Kyper is in Halifax right now, but he's going to be in New York City at a Rangers alumni event on the ice playing hockey with Brian Leach and, Rangers people.
Decent
so we may
alumni
have some
there.
Peter Mrazek-esque groins when he comes back here on Monday.
Just see him waddling down the hall to the coffee machine.
Rolling
Actually. Yeah, that'd be much better. Gonna connect with Dan Rosen in just a second here. Again, keep the comments coming on YouTube. We're gonna get some of your questions a little later on in the show as well. Our buddy Sam McKee is gonna pop in and give us those questions, and we'll answer them here. We just talked about the goaltending thing when it comes to the Leafs. I mean, it does feel like, I know we talked about them for 40 minutes to start the show today. All roads lead back to Matthews today, and it's as good a reason to bring in our next guest, Dan Rosen, joining us now. Dan, how you doing today?
As a Mets fan, I've been better. So
what's going on in Mets land?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm out. What's happening?
No, this is not why you had me on. But Jacob deGrom shut down for at least 4 weeks. So there you go. There's your news for the Mets fans that are listening.
Heavy Jays show here. So
look, if there's anything people in this market can understand, it's commiserating about sports teams that are hurting your feelings. So I feel for you. We'll all light a candle for DeGrom there.
There you go.
The guy who's lighting the lamp here in Toronto, Auston Matthews. He gets his 50th last night. We're close to it. We're sitting here. We're enthralled with it every day. But we wanted to get your take. This is obviously the biggest American superstar in the game right now. This is a guy who, we don't want him going anywhere, but he's the ticket for selling the game in the United States. It feels like. Just how big of a story is it for the league to finally have him get to this mark? Because he's come close a couple of times.
Yeah, and ruined by COVID seasons. Really, I mean, this could have been his third one, to be honest with you. I mean, the way he's at, I think it's huge. And not only that, if we could just go big picture on this, he's the first to get it. Draisaitl's going to get there. Kreider's probably going to get there. And there could, who knows? I mean, we could be seeing more too. Because Ovechkin's got 42, Connor's got 41. It's not out of the realm of possibility that you could have 5 50-goal scorers this season. It might be a stretch, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. And I think the key thing here, too, just to look at it one more perspective, he leads the league in even strength goals as well. And so he's not just doing this on the power play. He's doing this at even strength, which I think is a key thing. And even strength goals this season are up. And they actually account for 78% of the goals scored in the NHL this season, even strength goals. And Auston Matthews has 36 of his 50 goals are even strength goals, and I think that's important. But from a Matthews perspective, from his point of view, I think it's big. He's a superstar in the league. American playing in a Canadian market, don't care. Canadian playing in an American market, don't care. He is a superstar in the National Hockey League, and you want your superstars in the National Hockey League to put up the gaudy numbers, to put up the big numbers. It sells it. What sells? Goals sell, and he's got 50 of them, and he could get 60. And I remember Steven Stamkos at All-Star Weekend, the last to score 60, said he could absolutely see Matthews doing it because he's that type of a goal scorer, and obviously he's proven to be.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about these guys here who are near 50, and if I'm not mistaken, Dan, you're in New York City, right?
Yes.
New York City. Chris Kreider, a guy who's in the hunt, right? Crying about DeGrom. Kreider's in the hunt there. He's a guy who's got 24 power play goals, by the way. But he's sniffing around 46 goals. Is it a big deal in New York City that there's a Ranger about to score 50? It feels like it's flying under the radar. You barely hear about this. Here in Toronto, anyway.
It's a big deal for Rangers fans. There's no question about it because, I mean, the record for the New York Rangers, I believe, is Jaromir Jagr at 54 goals. And Chris Kreider is 8 away from that with 14 games left. And you think to yourself, well, can he get there? I mean, the pace he's going at, he absolutely can. And yes, 24 goals on the power play for Chris Kreider, and they're probably scored from the equivalent of from a combined 30 feet from the net. I mean, he's just right in front of the net, tipping pucks and whatnot. But it's a big deal. There's no question about it. Kreider's offense. I mean, you're talking every night for Chris Kreider, just like you're talking every night for Auston Matthews. The difference, obviously, is Matthews, to me, is the train that drives the whole thing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know, he's the guy that pushes everything. Whereas Kreider is not necessarily the guy that pushes everything. He's capitalizing on everything. But for the Rangers, the guy that pushes everything is Igor Shesterkin. And if you want to look from an offensive perspective, Kreider is there, but so is Panarin, so is Zibanejad. But from Matthews, and this is probably why I would have Matthews as the leader. If I had a Hart Trophy vote, he'd probably be the guy because he pushes it all for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And people will look and say, well, Connor McDavid's got 100 points. Yeah, but he's got Leon Draisaitl, who's got 49 goals this season, right? And I'm not disparaging anything with Mitch Marner or anything, because Mitch Marner is a terrific player. He's not Leon Draisaitl. And to flip it around, Leon Draisaitl, he could be in the race. Well, he's got Connor McDavid. Same thing, So I think Matthews probably, is the leader in that category right now for me.
I think you just ignited a culture war in Canada here. We do the McDavid Matthews all the time. We throw Draisaitl in the mix. And Mitch Marner now entering this, and it's just that's kind of the big topic of conversation up here. Is not which two would you rather have, but just how do you kind of stack them up there. Yeah. We're talking about the MVP here. I think you can make the case that Connor McDavid could win the MVP every single season. He's the first guy to 100 points. Is it simply kind of voter fatigue that he's not going to be that guy? Is it the fact that Matthews, if let's say, because you just said he would get your vote, is it the fact that he's a quote unquote more complete player? Like, what do you think it is that holds McDavid back? And I don't want to cry for him. He's won a couple of Hearts, if I understand correctly.
Yes, no, he has. Here's the thing: the Hart Trophy is a single season award given to the player who is most valuable to his team. That's the exact definition of it. Actually, it's to the player adjudged to be the most valuable to his team. Is that a word? Right? I guess so. I don't know. It's not a word I ever use. Connor,
just scratch out the A, and it's right there.
And we had this. Sean Rourke, who's a co-host the podcast, the NHL at the Rink podcast with me. We talked about this on our podcast that we recorded yesterday, and his point, and he said this, and I 100% agree with him. If you take Connor McDavid off of the Edmonton Oilers, they're probably in the mix where they are right now. Like they're battling for a playoff spot in the Pacific Division, and they're not fading out. And that's not to disparage McDavid. He's the best player in the league. I think he's the best player in the league. But the award is most valuable player, and that's where the distinction needs to be made. And I think Auston Matthews' value to his team this season is a hair greater than Connor McDavid's value to his team. I can hear arguments the other way, and I don't think they would be necessarily dead wrong. But I think you just look at it and you say Matthews and what he brings, the goal scoring, the power game, the two-way game, all of that. It's just, I think he just has that more value to his team this season. But then I'll throw this one in the mix too. Igor Shesterkin's value to the Rangers might be greater than both of theirs. And Roman Yossi's value to the Nashville Predators might be greater than both of yours. Like, what if Roman Yossi goes out and gets to 100 points this season as a defenseman, and they make the playoffs? Pretty hard to not award him the Hart Trophy in that sense, too, right?
Yeah, we've already had our producer Sam McKee here say, Shesterkin's a goalie, he doesn't count, and we've noted that a defenseman, what they won Hart Trophy in 50 years or something.
Pronger in 2000 is the last time, and nobody a long time before him. Yeah.
It's like they don't get even consideration, eh?
Yeah, you know what? You have to, in those positions, goaltender and defense, like you have to have out of this world special seasons. And to be honest, that's to me we'll see how it finishes. There's still 14, 15 games here to go. But that's what Shesterkin is having for the Rangers. And if you continue, if Roman Yossi continues to do what he's doing, he's got 81 points. If he continues to do what he's doing, playing 25 minutes a game, 81 points, he could get 100 points this season.
Yeah.
That's an out-of-this-world season for a defenseman.
Yeah, that's more than noteworthy at that point, I would agree.
Yeah.
We were looking at some of the playoff matchups, and it looks like the Rangers there are likely to draw the Pittsburgh Penguins, two teams that maybe under-discussed in a conference with so many good teams. They haven't come up as often, at least here in Toronto. What are your thoughts on those two teams, that matchup, if one of them could potentially be a dark horse out of the East?
Well, does anybody talk about anything but the Leafs in Toronto?
No, as far as I know, that's all. Yeah, that's
all it is.
That's
right? I think it's good. I think it'd be a fascinating playoff series if the Rangers play the Penguins. There's a lot of intrigue there because you've got the team in Pittsburgh that's had a lot of players who've been there, done that. You've got the Rangers who are kind of new, with this group, a little bit new to the party, right? The goaltending matchup definitely sways in the Rangers' direction, but Igor Shesterkin has never done it in the playoffs, and Tristan Jarry has a lot to prove after his playoffs last season. The Rangers and Penguins have played a couple of times recently, and the Rangers have won both 5-1 at the Garden, but that was a game where it was Evgeny Malkin was a late scratch because he was sick, and the Penguins were playing a 3-4. The Rangers jumped all over them. The next time they played was in Pittsburgh, and the Rangers gutted out a win, which was very important for them, I think, to show that they can beat a team like that in that type of fashion. So I think it would be a fascinating playoff series, and it would draw a lot of interest, especially, here in the United States, because you're talking about two of the bigger teams in the Rangers and the Penguins, in the East. It's going to draw a ton of eyeballs on that series.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now, and I mean, it's the playoffs. They're all going to be good teams, but man, especially in the East, I don't think you're going to get a bad series. You basically throw darts at any of these matchups, and you should be really happy about them. Dan, thanks so much for the time. Really, really appreciate it today.
Yeah, you got it. Brad Marchand said it's going to be you got to win the Stanley Cup you got to win the Stanley Cup final 4 times to win the Stanley Cup if you're playing in the East, and I don't think he's wrong.
Well, first time I've agreed with him on anything, but there we go. There we go, and there he goes. Dan Rosen, NHL.com. It's funny just hearing him talk about, okay, what does it take for a defenseman to get into that conversation? I'm trying to think, and look, there have been tons of defensemen who are, talked up in this game. For a moment there, Cale Makar, I feel like I had more Cale Makar conversations than I was having Auston Matthews conversations at one point in time. And even then, we weren't saying, and he's the best player on the planet.
Yeah.
What does a defenseman have to do going forward? Because if you told me that Cale Makar was going to burn, and look, I understand there's more to defense than scoring goals. I understand that. But if that guy can't even sniff or can't even worm his way into the conversation, I genuinely don't know what a defenseman would have to, like, would he have to be Cale Makar and Zdeno Chara to do that?
I think
Chris Pronger.
Yeah, well, exactly.
There you
right?
go.
Yeah.
I think I've said it on the show before, but like Cale Makar, I'm not even sure I believe it. I kind of believe it. Cale Makar is my favorite player in the league to watch.
Okay, I believe that.
Like,
I
I'm torn because I love watching.
Sold on it.
Well,
because
Matthews is just unbelievable to watch.
Yeah,
like
awesome every shift.
Every time he's on the ice, it's fun. But Makar's not much different. I guess the difference is, as a D-man, you have less opportunity to be involved. But just, my God, when he's involved, and I think we were having that conversation earlier in the year, because what do you score 15 goals in the first 30 games, or
run,
some sort of one against Chicago, where he spins off the half boards.
Because the Patrick Kane cutback.
Cooking Kirby Doc.
Yeah. Oh, man. Nasty.
He's taken some beatings this year. He got hip checked by
Gudas
last night.
I didn't realize that was him.
That
I saw
was
the
Doc.
hit.
Here's the thing I've never understood, so I'm just going to change topic entirely. Like, how are hip checks legal? How are they ever legal?
Well, I mean, again, we talked about the
Sundin.
I loved it. We talked about the Sundin Leafs on this show. Brian McCabe had 2 moves. One was called tripping. We called it the can opener.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a great move, the can opener.
That was a moving slew foot, essentially.
Yeah, and then the other one was when he would just basically press his cheeks up on you when you try to go by him. It wasn't a real hip check. It was more of like a butt press than anything else. But yeah, I mean, that's like baked into the core of at least, guys my age in this city.
Well, it's unbelievable, though. Like, I mean, you're tripping, right? You're taking a guy's legs out from under him, and they're like, but because you do a flip, it's not tripping.
Well,
it's like, wait.
At a certain point, how much, like, I know that this isn't written in the rule book, but we always talk about the spirit of the rule.
Right.
I wonder if the spirit of the rule there is, it looks pretty cool.
Well, it is.
I do wonder how much of it is that.
It's like, well, it's tripping, but watch this.
Well, it's like, also, this is just kind of coming to me now. It's the lacrosse move. I imagine that a puck is touched with a high stick at some point in time in a lot of those, and it's like, yeah, but it's cool, so we just kind of let it go. Like, I honestly wonder how much of it's that with the hip check.
The Mark McGuire thing from Simpsons is, do you want to know all the inner workings and the truth, or do you want to see me hit dingers?
Dingers! We always love dingers.
Dingers it is.
So we're going to go to questions here and stuff, but we got a unbelievable comment from somebody on YouTube from MAG.
Okay.
Looking like Kyper and Bourne with that stash.
Oh, that's good.
That's from MAG.
Yeah.
Good job on you.
Points.
Good
Points.
Oh, man.
And the Tony Reale points.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Very good.
All right. So you want a question now, boys?
Yeah, I mean, now that we've marinated on
The name has been used like that before. Born Star Parking was
Yeah.
a thing for a while. Or there's a lot of.
So this sets us up perfectly into our conversation about decor. And this is from BW on YouTube. Where do they start Muzzin in his return, which looks to be imminent? He was taking line rush as he didn't have the non-contact jersey on today. So where do you put him in the lineup once he's ready to return?
So this conversation for me goes right to Riley and his partner.
Mm-hmm.
So Riley and Brody were together for a huge chunk of the season and were awesome.
Yep.
Really, really good pair that you came to trust and actually took a lot of defensive responsibility.
It's amazing what Morgan Riley next to another, skillful defenseman looks like. Yeah.
Right. But then they put Liljegren there and they were a train wreck.
Boy, not pretty.
I know. I mean, both of them were.
Yes.
It was not a match made in heaven. And then Lyubushkin goes there, and Lyubushkin is like the anchor guy that frees Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Riley's behind the opposing team's net with Bushkin. He's just like
He thinks he's Cale Makar now.
He's like, okay, Lyubushkin's going to be back there. He trusts him, whatever. So what's happening now is I don't like it. I don't like this thing where like Lyubushkin is playing in the top pair because you're going to be in playoffs and you want Riley on the ice a lot. Do you want Lyubushkin playing 22 minutes or whatever? I don't.
No.
I like Lyubushkin, but it seems like a lot for me. So I want Riley Brody back. I want Giordano with Hull so I can give Muzzin Lyubushkin some run as a D-zone start. 18 minutes, because Muzzin looked like he was pressed at times this season, right? Like he wasn't quite the same guy. If you take some responsibility off Muzzin, kind of third pair him with Lyubushkin, very particular role for those guys, can that work?
I think it can. Now, I think that's right. But I really like how Gio and Liljegren are looking together.
Yeah.
And I understand the thing of the bright lights of the playoffs and the first time through it. And I completely understand that. And I don't want to take any amount of that away. And Justin Hall has played in the playoffs before. It didn't go particularly well because, hey, he played for the Leafs, but he's been through it. Yeah. And I understand you can mix guys in. It is not these are your six and you can't mix anybody else in, but I feel like it should be Hall because of he's done it before. He's been that guy. He was your shutdown pair last year. I really, really like that Gio Liljegren pair.
I do too. And, I've been hard on Liljegren throughout this whole season, essentially, because I've been saying it's not that I don't think he's an NHL defenseman or whatever. My question has been, where does he fit? Mm-hmm. I've been saying he's not a offensive guy. Like he's not on the power play. You're not expecting him to put up a ton of points. He's not a D zone guy where he's physical, he clears out the zone. I've just been saying, what is he going to do? Yeah. And so since Giordano has been around, he's kind of looked like Giordano. He's been a first pass guy, a transition guy, move the puck up the rink, keep it simple, and actually has played more physical since Giordano's there, which I don't really know. Maybe he just trusts that there's a guy back there.
I think Mark Giordano's intimidating. I see him on he's standing there on the blue line with the national anthems. He's got a shaved head. He looks intense. I honestly wonder how much of it is just
he looks like all the guys that play beer league against
every single
New
guy.
York.
I don't want to. This guy looks pretty intense. I don't want to let him down.
But whatever it's been, Liljegren has looked so good beside him to where, I at least have to question, are you sure Justin Hall's in? Are you sure Justin Hall's in?
On merit, he's been really good.
He's played well.
For the last 2 weeks, he's been pretty good.
I also see a role for him on the PK, as a shutdown.
There's more clear roles with him than Liljegren, where you actually are starting to is this flower blooming?
I like Liljegren at 5-on-5, but I feel there are game scenarios where I trust Hall.
I am of the Babcock era of loving the right, left on D. To me, it's just so aesthetically pleasing and just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I like it. So if I'm doing it, I go Riley, Lyubushkin. I keep him up there as long as.
By the way, can we just call him Boosh from now on?
Sure.
I like Boosh.
So I've been calling him Luby, and McKee is looking at me like,
tough one.
Do that.
Tough one. You can't go with Luber either. So Riley and Boosh on the top pair, and I liked what I've seen from Lyubushkin. I don't think you can stick with it really long term, but at least I try it.
Okay.
I go Gio Hall for the right left again. And then I go Muzzin Brody as a third pair, and Brody has shown his ability to play on the off wing.
I mean, it's great.
And Brody,
But using the logic of left-right, it doesn't work because Brody's a lefty.
Yeah, no, but he's played with Riley on his offside. So
his whole career.
I just think on merit recently, and I think Brody's been a great signing, but I don't think he's necessarily been at his best over the past, maybe not month, but few weeks. I don't think he's been as strong. So you put him with Muzzin, you kind of ease them, give them a little easier minutes, and then you can switch it all up. You have depth here, but I don't think it's the worst idea to kind of ease Muzzin in with Brody, who's a capable guy.
Is it a little weird that when we're putting all of our pairs together, we have not put Mark Giordano beside the guy who won a Norris with three seasons ago?
Great point.
It's an awesome
important point.
And I don't think you need to rush to it. I am thrilled that they've gone about it this way. I think the easiest thing in the world would have been, you want Gio to get off to a good start, put him with the guy he's comfortable with, that can immediately be a top 4 pair for you. Like, it was the easiest thing in the world. But look, you know that that's going to be okay. Worst case scenario, that pair this year will be okay together. So I don't think you needed to run to it. It's something you can kind of break glass in case of emergency and go to. But I'd like to see it before the regular season's done. We're in this experimental phase of what is your best 6. And, who knows, Sandin, a name we haven't mentioned. I think part of that's injury, but part of it's that this D's really good now.
It also leaves you such easy other pairs because you just go Muzzin and Hall, Riley and Labushkin.
Yeah, there you go. And then you can have Muzzin Hall be your kind of, because Giordano's looked the way he's looked since he got here, you can put him in your top 4 and not need to worry about that. And then you're easing Muzzin in the same way.
I'm not depending on anything from Sandin for a while.
Well, I was going to say, it's crazy we haven't mentioned Sandin, who
they were
at times I have thought is their best guy. I mean, I know he's not, but at times he has been.
He shows flashes of it. But I mean, they were very hush-hush about that injury. And they were like, it's going to be a while. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And it just feels knee going into the playoffs, hasn't played. I think I would be very hesitant to depend too much on him.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm with you there. I'm not banking on it. It's just, this is I don't want to make it in to be too much more than it is, but it's like a really, really crucial time in Sandin's career. Like, I think part of the reason okay, spoiler alert, they haven't won because they haven't won, but winning early in a career changes a player. David Pastrnak is not the David Pastrnak we think of if he was playing on not this Florida Panthers, but 5 years ago, Florida Panthers teams, and he's putting up his 70 points, and then he goes home before the playoffs start. Going through these battles, going through these wars, and then if you're able to actually come out on the other side and lift yourself up and get it done and win a series, I don't think it can completely change you as a player, but I think it can kind of lift you up a little peg, and it just kind of lets you know you can do it. And for Sandin to be missing those reps, and he's been banged up a bunch early on in his career, it's just a concerning thing for a player I think we're all really high on.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is I was just checking out Sandin's contract as we're talking about this. He's an RFA this year.
So
what are you going to pay him?
I was going to sing a song, a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. I think it's called Under the Bridge. Bridge. Bridge.
And just say we'll give you $1 million for 2 years.
Yes. We'll give you a little bit of cost certainty. We'll prove that we're going to have to pay you big bucks.
And
Boy,
then they'll do
awfully good player.
And they'll do the thing with him that they've done to all their rookies and saying, look how crowded this blue line is. You're for sure in at $1 million.
Yeah.
If you want 3, 4, it's then tough for conversation.
Yeah, you might enjoy
right?
Columbus or whatever. Yeah.
Somebody might, not me. And I don't think Rasmus. Maybe Doug. I don't know. Maybe he enjoyed Columbus. I don't know. Maybe Jim Benning. Maybe he enjoyed Columbus.
All right, Sammy. We got anything else? Let's dig.
Sorry, I just got a speck of dust there. This is from Brett Longfield on Twitter. In your heart of hearts, who will the Leafs end up playing in the first round?
I think Tampa.
I think Tampa too.
Yeah.
You?
Well, hold on. Actually, this is interesting. Why do you think Tampa?
I think Tampa.
The standings?
Well, the standings are currently in favor, and you're running out of runway. I just feel like, I don't know, destiny. Like, I don't know, it just feels like the defending Stanley Cup champion, like you want to, clear this hurdle. Everyone thinks Boston is slaying the dragon. Like, getting the Lightning after all this just feels like the ultimate, the universe conspiring against you.
Yeah, I think that's exactly why I think it will be. And I also think for Florida, it means something. to finish off and win the division. Tampa doesn't care. The Leafs, I mean, they'd like it, but it doesn't really matter. How great was that division banner from oh, no, because that doesn't matter. Who cares if you win the division? I think the Panthers are going to kind of push for that. And then why wouldn't Steven Stamkos come in here and torture us all? Because it's just, let's be honest, like it's lingering in the atmosphere. So yeah, I'm with Tampa. McKee, what do you think?
It's going to be Boston.
It's gonna be Boston, eh?
It's gonna be Boston.
I have the next question here.
Oh.
It's you know what it is. Would you rather play Augusta National by yourself,
oh my God,
or play your local Muni with Tiger Woods?
Wow, you just snuck in a golf question.
I love it.
It's a great. Well, listen. By the way, let me just say these are the golf guys.
I was going to say,
and the show is back
tomorrow.
First
show of
Saturday.
the year.
The golf guys. At what time?
9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on this. I was going to say on the Sportsnet Radio Network, but that's not true. On Sportsnet 590, The Fan, locally.
Your two hosts here, and we're launching into Masters Week. I mean, this is about to get real.
Yeah,
I'm very excited. So,
repeat the question for everybody.
Would you rather play Augusta National by yourself or play your local Muni with Tiger Woods?
I mean, this is so easy for me.
Yeah, it's the easiest.
I have to play Augusta. I have to play Augusta. I have to. Do you know how big the gap between, and I want to be so clear about this. We'll be giving love to all of our local munis. Do you know how big the gap is between the munis I play and Augusta National? I could go find a scratch to play with, and it's going to you don't get the stories, you don't get everything. I could, look at that high draw. Okay, I play golf with you. It can't be that much different.
Yeah, Bourne compresses it.
Yeah, it makes the sound, guys. It makes the sound. But Augusta National, it's Augusta.
Easy answer. Exact same as Gunner.
I'm stunned both of you said that. The chance to see Tiger Woods
play Lakeview,
sting it around and just make a mockery of your local.
Not hit anything longer than a 9-iron the entire time.
Yeah, and we all know what Augusta looks like, whatever. The chance to actually see
I know what Tiger
person,
looks like.
Well, to see him do it next, it's so out of context. You can't take Wayne Gretzky. The context is always the same. Ice rink. It's 200 by 85, whatever. You don't to take Tiger and put him on a local course like that. I don't know, be fully entertaining. And I also think there's a 1% chance I get to play Augusta National in my life. Golf media, you get to cover it one day.
Win the lottery.
You win the lottery.
Bob
you get out
Weeks
there.
Still never won it.
There's no chance Tiger Woods is let's go tee it up at Gallagher's Canyon. Shout out Kelowna.
You don't think he's just a huge Islanders guy and that's your ticket?
I guess there's this fringe celebrity chance that tie it through my dad or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one.
God love you for sneaking in that golf question. Thank you so much. And yes, golf show 9:00 tomorrow. And also shout out to Sam McKee for getting us an extra hour of sleep. It used to be at 8:00 last year. Now it's at 9. So good job by you. Although I'm up at 6 a.m. because child.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dog. He starts sniffing around at 8:30. It's pretty tough. Okay. Question for the boys. So that would be you guys.
Okay.
Why hasn't Simmons had half the amount of energy for the past 2 months that he did last night? Does he need the rest in order to get that much out of him? Or was he just pissed off that he was sitting?
I think it's that. I think it's the William Nylander thing where it's you need to go out there and show it or you're not going to get to play as much. Now, Willie would always work his way back in. It's inevitable. He's going to get the look. For Simmons, it's you're fighting for your last opportunities here. It's almost like you're trying to make the team as a rookie again, that sort of career arc. Every time he plays now, he has to show that he's worth being in the lineup, and I think that's a lot of pressure.
I agree with all that. The other thing I would add to it is that you don't get that game every night. I'd sign up for that game every night where the threat of blood is in the air and he's slashing. It was the perfect kind of game for Wayne Simmons. And look, he can definitely make more of an impact in a Boston game. Oh, that could get chippy really quickly, but it's just, okay, maybe I was about to say, not in Philly. Almost certainly in Philly because that's what they do now. But it's just, I think that's it. You kind of need to pick your spots for Simmons. Okay, this game could get a little out of hand. Maybe that's a night he's in. But you guys have been, making the point about Clifford. It's just that's your better fourth line option if you want a guy who kind of does those things. So I think it's impossible to kind of, especially at that age. And when the thing you do is just be nasty and getting in guys' faces, you can only do that. Even the guys who are the kind of peak tough guys in the league right now, even Nick Delorier, picks his spots a little bit. He's not mucking it up every single night.
Right. You can't do it all the time.
So this is from our text line, and I don't know if it's a sarcastic question, but I think it's one that's actually interesting as a non-sarcastic question.
Okay.
This is from Eric and Guelph. Do you think anyone is scared of the Leafs in the playoffs?
Scared in the sense we were just talking about? No. Like, I don't think anyone's going, oh, those big bad Leafs, they're going to roll in here and they're going to beat us up. I think Auston Matthews is terrifying. I think Mitch Marner's terrifying.
I think Jack Campbell played at a .945 save percentage for 2 months. I think there's some teams. There's also the other fact that if you lose to the Leafs, it's so much worse. The media, the fan base.
You're the team that lost.
You're the team
that finally.
5 straight teams. Columbus beat them. Montreal beat them. And you're going to be a top seed, presumably, one of the better teams in the league, and you lost to the Leafs. So there is the fear factor. You don't want to do it. Campbell can get hot. We know they can score. Decor quietly got really good. I'm going to go and say it here, and I think I feel a little bit more freedom to say it because Kipper's not here and he's not going to chastise me for it. But like, I'm kind of becoming a real believer in this team.
Whoa!
Like we got an alert. We got
some horn or something.
Like the decor has changed how I feel, and it comes down to Campbell. I know it comes down to Campbell, but we just put together 4 iterations of the decor, 4 different looks, without having Sandin in. And I like them all.
Yeah.
In previous years, there's always been a pair that you're like, okay, Dermott and Sandin, or Cece and someone, or Barry and someone, or Jake Gardiner and someone. There's always been a guy or 2 guys on the back end that make you go, well, if we get the best of them and they don't do the thing they do, we're okay. There's no one on this decor that makes me go, Liljegren sometimes, but he wasn't in many of our plans there. That makes me believe in the team.
The other thing I'll say about it is that, again, we get so bogged down in dealing with the specifics and look at this one mistake this player made. The idea of having a guy, I know he's in the top 6 now, we'll see what happens when playoffs roll around, but a guy like Ilya Mikheyev playing on your 3rd line, the fact that you need to be concerned when you have the power play, so often in playoffs, that feels like a big momentum shifter. And if the Leafs are getting momentum, not only from killing penalties off, but getting, shorthanded goals with their power kill there, that's another element that makes them a really scary team. When we step away from it, I'm really talking about myself here. When I step away from it and don't think of it as this team that I watch every single night and all the minutia, when I just look at it as how would I talk about them if they were the Columbus Leafs?
Yeah.
That's a scary team. Goaltending for sure. But other than that, scary.
Yeah. The biggest difference for me is like what you were just saying is the special teams. Number 1 power play in the league and the number 5 penalty kill. And if you look back at last season, which I'm just quickly pulling up here on NHL.com, it was not that. They were, I lost it. Okay. Anyways, they weren't as good last year on the special teams. Remember the power play? It was almost like the elephant in the room every time they got a power play.
Oh, yeah. No, last year the power play was falling apart going into the postseason and then wasn't there for them.
I'm pretty sure I made multiple defer jokes. Decline the penalty. Yeah. You don't want it. And now, last night, their power play looked awesome. Did they end up scoring a power play goal last night?
I think they got 1, yeah.
But they just, there was multiple.
Oh, yeah. Matthews had the bomb from the point, then Nylander.
Oh, yeah, tapped it in. But there was multiple power plays that they had where they had the puck in the offensive zone for the entire time, moving it around confidently, making good reads. It's not like it hasn't been as hot, but it's not like it was broken. And last year they couldn't enter the zone.
No, it was awful. And all this stuff that we're talking about the Leafs and how they haven't got it done. This team hasn't gone in and got swept like Tampa Bay to Columbus after winning the President's Trophy. They've won, I think, quick math in my head, 13 playoff games over the past 5 years. They won 3-2, 3-2, 3-3. They've been in series with very good teams, very good Boston teams. The team that went to the final last year.
The first team eliminated from the playoffs this year?
Yeah,
that's the one you're talking about?
Right. No, but they have been.
I was going to say, that
won
felt like
games.
a sleep. You're right. They haven't been swept, but I'm like, oh, man, that felt like getting swept.
That felt like
it really did.
But the point is, if the power play is that much better, if the special teams are overall that much better, if the D are that much better, can they get that 1 extra win?
Last year, they were 24th on the penalty kill, and they were 16th on the power play versus 1 and this year.
Wow.
Well,
It's
and
a huge difference.
The thing about the power play
Tampa's
too,
PP was huge for them last
yeah, the
year.
thing about the power play too is that even though, they got the one goal last night, but it just looked so much different. Even when they were able to get in the zone, it felt like it was just, okay, Marner's going to stand there and try to basically pump fake people into an open seam pass for Matthews. And if it's not there, they got nothing going on. It just feels like there's so many different looks. And, even
last night, Matthews sliding in Riley's spot to be at the top of the what PK would think that they're going to take a one-timer from the top because Riley doesn't.
No, exactly. You're right. Yeah, so many different looks. Anything else, McKee?
Okay, let's go on to the weekend. Then we got Saturday night in Philly.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken.
On Sportsnet, Fight Night the Fan.
Yes.
There you go.
Are you doing that game?
Yeah.
All right, lovely.
There you
What are your thoughts on the Philly Flyers these days?
They suck.
Listless. It doesn't feel like Philly. I mean, I know they got tough guys and they'll still throw down and still fight, but it doesn't feel like the Flyers. I mean, the Giroux.
Zach McEwen's punching people.
Oh, look, they are. Like, they're always going to be that, but it's just, I don't know. It felt like the second Giroux left, it was like all the air, just there wasn't much in. It was like already a deflating bouncy castle.
Yeah.
And then the second he walked out the door, it's like, what are we even doing here?
They're quite dreadful. They have 53 points in 67 games with a minus 65 goals.
Minus 65 goal differential.
If we're talking here about Matthews getting to 60, these are the type of games where he needs to get 2 or maybe even a Hattie type of thing. Because they have some tough games coming up. Like next week is not, they got the 2 Florida teams that go into Dallas. I think the next Saturday night's against Montreal, which is always squirrely, how we know how that thing
Always
goes.
is.
So this kind of game going into it, if he is going to pursue 60, is the type of one that he has to kind of light up.
Yeah. No, agreed there. So we'll close it out with some best bets here. Looking at the slate tonight. I don't know, Gunnar, you don't gamble, right?
Oh, I do, but
you do?
just terribly. I make money on Corey Connors every year at the Masters, and then it bleeds me through the year.
What are you, top 25 or is he top 10?
I go top 10 for Connors, and then I always hit on him best Canadian. But he had a great week at the match play, so his odds are going to be all wonked off this week.
Islanders Rangers tonight. The Islanders are quietly one of the better teams over the past, month. They're
Homer.
Hard homer. But they're plus 160 against the Rangers tonight. They've won a couple in a row. They're climbing their way back. They're annoying. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to put a couple of bucks on the Islanders and say that they play spoiler.
So Shesterkin's playing in that game, and you think the Islanders win, so you have to take the under as well, right? Like, that's how that would work, I think,
Brilliant.
right? You've got to tack it on.
Oh, by the way, my parlay almost hit last night. My uncut
Did you get paid
gems.
for almost hits?
No, man. All I needed was one Matthews goal.
I
and
can't
I would
wait
have
to go home and talk about almost unloading the dishwasher. I almost did it. Thought
God,
about
it was so close.
I did think of it. The 2 goals is greedy. If you had done a Matthews goal with the over, so my bet did work. We did hit there. You tacked on the uncut gems version.
I tacked on the rude version of it.
Yeah. And then other than that, for bets, the other one I would like is I'm betting all thing Golden Knights right now. Apparently, Robin Leonard is able to play again. He's going to be close to healthy. They're still going to go with Thompson.
I have no idea who plays for the Golden Knights.
Logan Thompson.
I've never known. It's like, is Bill Carlson still there? It's like, as far as I'm concerned,
Eichel and I have no idea.
They
who
put
else.
that expansion team in like amber that they like preserve dinosaur bones in, and that's what I will always think. It's going to be 2050. I'll be like, still got Pacioretty? Is he still poking around there?
Well,
I know he is.
Yeah, Evgeny Dadonov is now the best player in the NHL, so they got that going for them. But they're minus 167 in Seattle. Don't like that, but if you go ahead and do it in regulation, you can get them about even money. Vegas Golden Knights. There it is, my other bet.
Jack Campbell likely back tomorrow. Good feeling, yay or nay?
Oh, really good. Plenty of runway for him to find his game again. We're all positivity here. Matthews gets 50. Campbell's back.
I like him starting against the Flyers.
Agree.
Maybe get the mojo going a little bit, heading into a big week with the 2 Florida teams on Monday, Tuesday.
We all agree, so we know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, exactly. He back. And so is the drop.
Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick behind the glass, producers Sam McKee, Justin Bourne, and me.
Thanks,
Not
Gunnar.
Jim Benning, Brent Gunning filling in on Real Kyper and Bourne. Thanks so much for listening and watching on YouTube.